Pittsburgh Steelers have been named a landing spot for a decent named cornerback that they should definitely go get, and they should not wait for it. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Today, let's talk about a cornerback that has been named a possible landing spot with the Pittsburgh Steelers, a guy that to this point in his career has done enough to earn a starting job, maintain a starting job, has all the experience you're looking for, and on top of that, is still young. That name is Chicago Bears corner Jaylen Johnson, who is a former second-round pick out of Utah, a guy that Pro Football Focus's Brad Spielberger says is the perfect fit for Johnson in free agency. We're going to talk about why they should go do that right now. This is from Spielberger himself in the article, quote, "Johnson is stuck playing a lot of soft zone and off coverage in Chicago, and it doesn't appear to fit his skill set all that well. Pittsburgh traded for William Jackson III at last year's deadline as he grew frustrated with the defense in Washington, and perhaps that could apply here too. Johnson is playing in a pivotal contract year in 2023 that is off to a very strong start, earning a 84.1 coverage grade through week 3. Now, this season, Johnson has only allowed 46 yards to opposing wide receivers. He's 24 years old, and to be frank, he is the perfect option for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are in a situation where right now they are not willing to commit to Joey Porter Jr. as a starter, even though it makes a ton of sense that he should be. But that's okay. If you don't want Joey to go out there on the first snap of the game, not a big deal. This is a cornerback role. Cornerback 3 could still play 50+% of the snaps, even if he's not out there for the first series. You don't want to risk any aggravation for Levi Wallace or hurt any morals or whatever, totally fine. You want Patrick Peterson to slowly develop into the slot, slowly develop, moving around a little bit more, totally fine. You're not willing to jump on the Joey Porter Jr. bandwagon 100% after just one strong showing, totally fine. No big deal. But let's all admit that he's the future. He is the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is their CB1 moving forward after this season. He's the guy that they want to develop into a superstar, be the next Ike Taylor, be the next whoever you want him to be. Joey Porter Jr. is the starter and the primary starter in Pittsburgh after 2023, no matter who's here. But you want somebody next to him. You want somebody who could grow and develop. And I think Corey Trice Jr. is a good option, but being hurt this season doesn't help his case. There's no way he's going to be trusted to start next year. There's no way he's going to be trusted really to see the field. I would expect him to be almost a de facto rookie, a guy that comes in here and plays a very, very limited role, if any role, that's still going to have to compete for a roster spot and will probably just be a special teamer in his first healthy season with the Pittsburgh Steelers if he's healthy next year. That's a great place to start, and I think that Corey could develop into a cornerback 2 or a cornerback 3 in Pittsburgh, but they're not going to just jump on board and say, this guy's it, we're fine. He's a 7th-round draft pick who got hurt in his rookie season. They're not holding any expectation, and he doesn't hold any ground in the NFL. He's got to earn everything that comes to him, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to take it very, very slow with him. So you need somebody else, and I think this is where things somewhat become perfect for the Pittsburgh Steelers, not to wait and to just say, screw it, let's go get our guy. If Jaylen Johnson is it, which makes a lot of sense, go get him. He's a man corner. Patrick Peterson and his struggles this season have been clear as day. Why? Because he's not a man corner. He's a zone corner at this point in his career. He showed it last season in Minnesota, a defense that primarily plays zone, and he came away with 4 interceptions. Great year. Now you put him in as a man, struggling from time to time, not able to keep up with a lot of guys, especially the smaller, quicker guys. You're going to see a lot of those guys moving forward. This is where now and later makes a lot of sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You go get Jaylen Johnson. You're now looking at a situation where Joey Porter Jr., whether you want to admit it or not, should be your cornerback 1. And if you moved forward with Joey Porter Jr. as your CB1 right now, it makes a ton of sense. If Jaylen Johnson's here, he is your CB2. And honestly, He could be your CB1 for the rest of this season. He could overstep Levi Wallace, or maybe you trade Levi Wallace in the acquisition. He oversteps Patrick Peterson. He just takes on that I am the starter role for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is your guy at 24 years old. He grows next to Joey Porter Jr. Those two develop into the CB1, CB2, no matter what way you flip it, for the next however many years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Makes a ton of sense. This is your group. It makes everything more dangerous. If you have two really strong corners, two incredibly strong corners, guys that can shut down guys for 4 or 5 seconds, think about how much more deadly TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith become, and Cam Hayward becomes, and Keanu Benton becomes, and Larry Ogunjobi becomes. It is an unstoppable defense. You want to know why? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers, they win games through their edge rushers, and their edge rushers' best help is a strong cornerback group. Go get Jaylen Johnson. Moving forward, you go into next season, Patrick Peterson is still under contract. He's still here for another season. Even if he is not your guy as a starter, even if at best he could provide 20, 25 snaps a game at most, you are looking at a guy who could be your CB3, who could be a bridge guy for Corey Trice Jr. Now you have two starters in Porter Jr. and in Johnson. Patrick Peterson's coming off the bench. Trice is a guy that's playing somewhat of a James Pierre role, a CB4, playing a lot of special teams, slowly developing, learning from a guy in Patrick Peterson who's a future Hall of Famer, and some younger guys in Joey Porter Jr. and Jaylen Johnson. The year after that, Patrick Peterson's gone. You still got Joey Porter Jr. and Corey Trice under contract as rookies, and Jaylen Johnson is on a new deal. Now you got a CB1, a CB2, and a CB3, all young, all developed, all deadly. Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt are still around and still kicking ass. It just makes a ton of sense. I don't know what you have to give up for Jaylen Johnson, but I saw reports and fiction and all this stuff, people who just came up with trade ideas, and a lot of them included a 4th round pick. A lot of them included a 3rd and a 5th. A lot of them, none of them were a 1st round pick. None of them were a 2nd round pick. It was all middle round picks. And quite honestly, I would give that up if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers tomorrow. I would get rid of a 4th round pick. I'd give him a 4th in Levi Wallace. And I like Levi Wallace. I think Levi Wallace is a good corner. I think he's a quality starter. I think he is a starter, and or at least competing to be a starter, and at bare minimum a CB3 on all 32 teams in the NFL, and I will hold true to that one. I think Levi's a good corner, but I don't think that he sticks in Pittsburgh longer than this season, and if he doesn't, you might as well trade him. If you're going to get somebody and you could use him as collateral, and you could just swap 2 corners, you might as well do it. It just makes way too much sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It feels like an easy trade. If you're not going to shoot for the stars and go get Patrick Surtain, who you definitely should go get if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and have any thought, any ideas in your head about going to get a superstar corner, go get Patrick Surtain. Don't care what you have to give up for him. Just go get him. But if you're going to be realistic, if you're going to say, okay, well, we can't give up anything, or we can't give up everything, we can't give up 2 first-round picks or a 1st and a 2nd, or whatever the Denver Broncos are going to ask for him, Jaylen Johnson is a good backup, one that makes a lot of sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and one that, if they're thinking right now and they're thinking future, this is a move that should be way too easy for them to pull the trigger on. Omar Khan's good at this stuff. He should put it to work, and he should go get Jaylen Johnson, and he should not wait until free agency to do so.